Hey everybody, it's Scott, Katy, Texas, doing a Southern style. Just a little repair here, so you can look here, it's cracked corner bead. And actually right here, the metal's actually showing, and it's just been painted. So we'll show you what we do with this. I'll just take my 6-inch knife, and you gotta get anything that's loose off before you do any mud work. So you can see it's separated all up on the corner right there. So that means it's just peeling off. So you need to get that off as long as it's loose. And then scrape that corner, get that mud off of that corner right there. And then we're good. So we got a fiber tape that I use. I got another video on it. This is the best tape in the world for repairs. So I've also got a pan of plaster here, which I've got another video on that I'll show you guys how to use. So we're gonna put a little plaster on here and we're gonna tape it. First of all, we're gonna put a couple nails in. So when you nail this, I go right on the edge. Don't go through the metal. I just go right on the outside. So the head's gonna cover the metal. If you go through the metal, a lot of times it'll bend. So we'll put a couple nails in it, just like that on the edge. Give it a little bit of support. As you can see, just the head's over the metal. Make sure you're all the way in. And now we're ready to tape. So we'll just put a little mud on here, right on that edge. All the way past your crack. Make sure you go a little bit further. So this stuff is really, really good tape. It's easy to use. Doesn't shrink up. Regular paper tape you can use, but this is a better product. So we're gonna wipe that. Always start in the middle, down, and then we'll go up. So as you can see, just with the tape and a little bit of mud, it's almost gone. So I'm gonna go a full 6 inches here. All the way down past your seam or the crack. You know, feather edge, I told you all that before in my other videos. You just take 1 or 2 inches of the side of your knife. All your pressure's out here and this is gonna be out. We call that feather edge. You just knock that heavy down. And then one nice wipe. Now I left it a little heavy and I'm just gonna kind of roll that edge in a little bit. Now this is plaster, in a few minutes it's gonna be hard. And then I'm gonna roll that edge in. So start here on your knife and then roll your blade. So we're just doing this one side. That keeps you from taking mud off of this side. So now, as you can see, we're nice and full. Got 6 inches of mud all the way through. And we'll let this plaster set up. In probably 6 to 7 minutes or so. This will be hard, and then this is also a knockdown texture. So we're going to show you a little trick that we do on a small job rather than taking out a hopper. We'll be back in a minute. All right, so we're back. So we're just going to show you this texture. It's a knockdown texture. It's pretty funky knockdown texture, and what I mean by that is it's not very consistent. So it makes it basically easier to get it right just because it wasn't that good in the first place. So I'm going to use a technique, old school from Louisiana. It's just a regular wash brush you get from Home Depot. I got a little bit of thick mud in the bottom of the bucket, and I'll show y'all after I prep the patch how you can use this rather than a hopper. So we got everything covered up. We got floors covered. We got the ceiling covered so we don't get any overspray on the ceiling. A little bit here so we don't go off the side of the wall. So you always want to, be as careful as you can. So the plaster's hard. It's 10 minutes now or so. So I left it a little bit heavy. It's hard to see, but there's kind of a heavy rollover right here. So I'm just going to take my 6 and I'm literally going to rake this out. And then you spot it. So everything you pull off, put back on. And what that does is just really level everything out. Essentially, it's basically sanding. The same thing that you would do sanding, I'm doing with my knife. So everything's laid down nice and flat. That plaster doesn't shrink, and this is a really heavy texture that we're going over, so we're not gonna skim it. But I am gonna take a sponge. I'm gonna sponge that edge. So that just helps with your blend. And this is a way that you can do. Now, if you let it dry completely and you're not able to do the plaster, you can do regular mud, but it will take 2 coats, and then you can just sand it. But this is a way that we do it as professionals, kind of get in, get out, without waiting for stuff to dry. So again, it's just a wash brush. You get just a wire wheel brush, you know, and it's separated. You can see the bristles are separated. So that's gonna get your mud separated when we dip. So I'm gonna dip into the bucket just like this. And then I'm gonna shake, come up. And then I'm gonna get a little bit of that excess off. So I've got everything going forward. When I flick, we call it a flicker brush. When I flick, I'm gonna push the brush forward and try to get some big pieces on there. It's essentially what a hopper would do. You want to do it with a little bit of force. You're bending the bristles at the same time you're throwing the brush, so to speak, towards the wall. So it gives the same effect as a hopper. You know, to pull out a hopper in here, we'd have to put a whole big plastic tin around everything. And so this speeds the process up for us as repair guys to do small. Now it's a pretty big knockdown, so you want to get your balls, so to speak, of the mud kind of big, so you get a little bigger flat spots after you knock it down. So you can go back over it a little bit, just fill it in real good. And make sure you get your edges, so you don't have any edges after you paint. I think we got it pretty thick there. What you think, B? So I've got that other video that I do with knockdown. This is a tool we use. It's just a piece of garage door threshold, and the rubber is really soft. So it's really forgiving when you knock down. If you use a plastic knife or a metal knife, you can dig lines. With this, it's almost foolproof. You can lay it down right. Just make sure it's clean and soft. So we're just going to take very little pressure. I'll start on the edge, kind of knock that down a little bit. And there it is. In a nutshell. Just put a little more pressure on it to make them bigger. And there it is. So a little brush that costs you $3. We use 50 cents worth of mud, and the repair is done. So we're gonna paint this thing. We'll put that in another video, but we're gonna put a heat gun on it. We're gonna paint it, but 2 coats of paint, it's over with. Doing it here in Texas, Southern style.